So how do we love God in that way? It's a big calling and it's a big thing to ask, as I said. Well, when I was praying, I was taken along a particular way of thinking about all of this. And this is just what I want to offer today. So here it is. If we are to love God, then maybe it starts with this. My friend, if you could see him in his glory, if you could see him, our God, in his greatness, if you could see him in his wonder, I'm sure you could not help but love him. If you gazed upon his splendour, and if you saw him high and lifted up as he always is, and if you felt the trembling power of his majesty and knew his countenance and face shining upon you, again I say, I think you could not help but love him. Indeed, if you saw him literally with your own eyes and you saw the power of his word going throughout all creation in the entire universe, sustaining, upholding everyone, every atom and everything, and then you saw his fearful holiness, a sapphire throne, cherubim, seraphim, ophanim, all around, would you not love him? Would you not love him even more? And from Revelation 1, if you saw Jesus' feet like burnished bronze, his voice flowing like waters of glory, and you could see him walking amongst all the churches wherever they are, feeling his transcendence and yet his immanence, surely I could say to you again, could you not help but love him? And I'm sure you would fall face down. And yes, you and I would want to love him and live a lifestyle for him. More than that, if you could see his inexhaustibility, his immeasurability, unfathomability, eternality, immortality, invisibility, all these words, and yet hear the whisper of his voice, and a voice that also can thunder like you've never heard before, you would love him like never before, with head, heart, and your hands. And if you met the one who remembers everything and yet can forget your sin through Jesus, the one who rests but never sleeps, the one who reveals yet conceals, the one clothed in a mystery beyond every word you could describe, yes, I think you would simply love him. And yes, you would want to live a lifestyle of love for him to others in your mind, soul and strength. How could you not? And here's something else that just popped in my mind as I was praying. Jesus loved us with all of his heart, with all of his soul, with all of his strength, and with all of his mind. He loved us that way when he gave everything for you and me on that cross. And he loved the world like that too. His whole being, nothing was missing. He gave it all for you. If we could see him on the cross, if we could see with his eyes him doing this for you, my friend, we could not, and you could not love him but more. So does his first love for us cause us to love him first? He first loved us with his whole being, that we might love him back with our beings. I think maybe this might help us to love him when we see him as he is, and when we can appreciate the depths of his love shown on the cross. So maybe then, thinking about last week's talk on Mary, maybe our increasing love for our God has to start with the Mary position, where we sit at his feet. We look in his face. We see him looking at us, and we are amazed and are in awe of who he is. Perhaps through some of the things I've said today, some of the things you will think for yourself, all I know is this, is that if this God of ours is as I have described, then there is something about him that causes us to love him. And I think it gives us a perspective on him that we might greater love him and deeper ways. So maybe then our love for him starts by first adoring him, seeing him as he truly is. In doing that, we will love him with all that we have, not out of a duty, not out of a law, not out of a legalism to answer my question in the end of part 1, but out of relationship and because we really do want to. You see, we are to love him with heart, mind and soul, not to earn our salvation. We do them because we want to love him for our salvation, the salvation he has already given us. Church, I will be honest with you. We so need a revelation of this, a revelation so that this becomes so much more than something we just read about in the Bible. We need an unveiling, an apocalypsis of who our God is, a revelation of what Jesus has done for us. Because if we get that, then we will love him. You see, we can understand the words. We can mentally grasp these things that we're looking at today. But the only way we will live for God this way is when this truth touches the heart within. One final thing then. When you and I feel tempted to do something wrong, which often comes up, here's a thought. Maybe we could ask in that moment a simple question. Am I truly loving Jesus if I give in to X, Y, and Z? When we feel tempted to make something else number one other than Jesus, we could ask of ourselves, how would Jesus feel about this? I think in so doing, asking questions like that comes from a more relationship love dynamic rather than a rule or a law. So how can we love God better? What's he saying to us about things? So ABC, my prayer is this, that we will be loving God from a place of absolute desire for him, a place of deep relationship for him, not because of works or tradition or religious observation, but a love from the outflow of a life set free. Indeed, we will love him through his strength within us at work through the Holy Spirit in our life and in our living. Moreover, loving him because he has captured our hearts and stunned us with his grace. God bless you today, and I hope something in this will help you and me together love our God just a bit more. Thanks for listening. Amen.